First of all, let's have a little look at some of the capabilities and features of Planning Analytics. So with Planning Analytics, you get all the flexibility and power that you need to run your strategic workforce planning solution. For starters, Planning Analytics offers you a fully bespoke option that you can design and tailor to your specific business needs. For those of you who are familiar with Planning Analytics already, you'll know you can build pretty much anything that you want in this system. The only barrier possibly is that of your imagination as to what you could achieve. Of course, with this power comes the risk that you could end up building a system that's unwieldy or not user-friendly. But with the expert knowledge and experience of HAYNE Solutions, we'll work with you and help to guide you through the process to ensure you have a best-in-class system. Part of the reason why Planning Analytics can deliver you a fully bespoke system is that it supports comprehensive business logic that can be tailored to meet your requirements. And when you combine this with the ability to quickly and easily update your assumptions, the high performance and unlimited what-if scenario planning functionality, which are features that we've covered in more detail in previous webinars, you can see how Planning Analytics can help you quickly and accurately calculate the results you require and enable you to select the most favourable strategy with which to run your P&L. So Planning Analytics also connects seamlessly into most source systems. So for example, you could load in employee related data such as salaries and bonus allocation direct from your HR system, meaning then you only need to manage assumptions within Planning Analytics that are not already held elsewhere. And of course, connecting your workforce planning solution through to the rest of your financial plans built in Planning Analytics is also seamless. Planning Analytics is also fully scalable. Your data volumes are always going to increase. It's just a fact of life, and you need a system that will grow with you. You can scale your use of Planning Analytics as your business grows, and with the powerful TM1 engine behind the scenes, Planning Analytics will ensure that your performance remains high, ensuring your ability to analyze data in real time. With workflow, this is something that we can already build as a bespoke functionality within your system, and it's also being planned to be built into the Planning Analytics workspace in a future release, which will allow you to quickly and easily add workflow to your workforce planning application. Let's take a look at the demo that we've got for you today. Today's demo is a video demo that is designed to show the art of the possible and give you an idea of how driver-based strategic workforce planning could be used to help you run, plan, and strategize for different scenarios. So this demo is built and designed to help users perform nurse scheduling activities within a hospital environment. And you'll see, for example, how quickly and easily you're able to update multiple sets of assumptions, how these can be represented graphically, and how these can be applied to drive your workforce planning decisions. Users have the ability to input various assumptions into this system to then be able to run different strategic plans through the model to generate the most optimal workforce plan for each. In other words, how can we deliver the best care in the most efficient manner? So what we have here is a landing page for this application in Planning Analytics workspace, and we have some key KPIs that help us and the user plan moving forward. For example, we have the total costs for the plan and the number of hours that have been scheduled for the number of shifts that we've allocated, along with the holiday days. And most importantly for this particular model is the demand we're trying to meet. What we're doing here is obviously a topical model looking at the number of COVID-19 patients that we are predicting to receive. We can have multiple versions of our workforce plan. As we know, things with COVID-19 are changing on a daily basis or even an hourly basis. So we need the ability to run multiple versions to preempt any of these different outcomes. In other words, to be able to plan strategically. So in this particular model, we have three scenarios. In scenario 3, we're predicting 23 patients, and we've allocated 1,122 hours for this. If we go to scenario 2, we're expecting 25 COVID patients with an increase of staff hours to 1,128. And in scenario 1, we've predicted 27 patients with 1,148 hours. So we can run different scenarios, different strategic plans to suit our requirements. And with this application, it guides the user through setting up the scheduling for these. So the first thing we'd need to look at in this application is our resources, our nurses, that we need to allocate to different shifts. So here we have each of the different nurses, their seniority, their qualification, and their pay rates. And we also have this charted over on the right-hand side. So if, for example, we wanted to give everyone a pay rise, we can do so and see how that may affect the costs moving forward. The user can quickly come in and use Planning Analytics to type or use some of the shortcut keys to increase the pay rate by 10% across all the nurses. We enter the shortcut, hit enter, and we can update all these assumptions on the fly. The next part that we then want to look at is to do with the skills. So when we move to the skills tab, what we have in here is a table of the different nurses and the skills they have. So we can allocate the right skills and nurses to the right departments for each shift. So for example, if we had a look at Debbie, and Debbie has recently gained skills in oncology, we can add that skill to her profile. The next part we would then want to look at is the shifts and the requirements. So this tab shows the buckets that we're trying to allocate the nurses to. So we've got two tables looking at different departments, the consultation department and then the emergency department. And these are then broken down into day and then by shift. For each shift, we have the start time, the end time, and the minimum maximum required nurses. So obviously as the demand goes up, i.e. as we have more COVID patients in this model, we are probably going to need to get closer to the maximum number of nurses by shift by department. The next thing that we want to look at is our days off. Obviously, we don't want to allocate a nurse a shift if they are on holiday. And also in today's world, if they get infected with COVID-19, we need to be able to remove them from the schedule due to having to isolate. So we can come in here, update days off as necessary, and then we can rerun the workforce planning process. Next, we want to tell the system some of the constraints that we need to work within. We can't, for example, allocate nurses more hours than the maximum we want to allocate for any particular strategy. So here we have a maximum number of hours that can be allocated of 55 per week, and we can set up other preferences as well. For example, a nurse may not like to work in a particular unit, and we can set this up here. So for example, in Isabella, we don't want to allocate into the emergency department, so we wouldn't put her in there. Then on the bottom left, we have the skills or disciplines required by each of the departments. So for emergency and consultation, how many nurses they need, for example, in anaesthetics, cardiac and oncology. And on the bottom right, we can set the working relationship preferences. So this is where we try to bring the human aspect of allocating nurses to different departments. So certain nurses may like to work with each other, and others may either not like working with each other or may work together less effectively. So what we're trying to do in this part is try to make sure our teams are happy when we run our strategic workforce planning model. Then we're going to look at some forced assignments. So what this is where the person running the strategic workforce plan can specify where certain nurses would like shifts. And then when we run the process to plan our workforce, it will take this information into consideration when it is allocating the staff their shifts. Having entered all of the data, all the requirements and constraints, etc., we can then have a look at running the process to build our workforce plan. So when we move to the Optimize tab, we'll see what things look like. So if we look at scenario 1, we saw earlier there was a constraint not to allocate any more than 55 hours to one particular nurse. And that's shown in here as the light blue line. The other important line in here is the yellow line, which is their pay rate. So you can see that what the process is trying to do nurse by nurse is to minimise our costs. So if the nurse's pay rate is not so high, we're going to try to maximise their time, because that's how we can then reduce our costs. We also have various other information pertinent to this particular scenario. On the right-hand side, we have a bubble chart showing cost by different qualifications and the total overall resource cost. And finally, this is then the workforce plan to show the shifts that the nurses are going to work. So what we're going to do is make some changes to our model. For scenario 2, you can see at the moment, the number of hours are capped at 60. And what we're going to do is go back to our constraints, look at scenario 2 and adjust the maximum number of hours. So we're going to increase them from 60 in this example up to 70. So we want to run a scenario where we need to meet some higher demand. So we enter the new number of maximum hours and press enter. Now if we go back to our optimize tab, we can rerun the workflow planning process. So we've just changed the constraints for scenario 2, so we just want to rerun that. But as we spoke about earlier in Planning Analytics, you can have as many different scenarios as you wish to run and compare. So when we run the process to work out the optimum workforce planning schedule, it's going to take into consideration all the variables and constraints that we've looked at, including the change of maximum hours to create a new workforce plan. So you can see what it's done. It's adjusted the maximum hours per nurse to 70, and it's going to readjust the schedule. So something like this would likely take the person doing the scheduling days to do. But as you can see, when you can build assumptions that you need into a system, there's a huge time saving of having the system do the planning for you, which means you're able to see the impact of different strategies, to run different scenarios and see the impact of these on your workforce. And as I mentioned, obviously the output of this is then an updated plan. So if we go and look at the final schedule, this will then show us an updated version of this for the plan that we have just run. So I hope the demo gives you an idea of the kind of things we can do using Planning Analytics to plan your workforce, and gives you thoughts as to how we may be able to build a bespoke model to fit your business requirements. Now, before the demo, we spoke about some of the capabilities of Planning Analytics that could be applied to strategically planning your workforce. For example, the fast performance, the real-time decision-making, integration with source systems, the flexibility and scalability, the powerful modeling capabilities, as well as the ability to fully bespoke your model to meet the needs of your business. But with Planning Analytics, there are a host of other capabilities that come with the system, such as dashboarding, tight Excel integration, self-service capabilities, and secure and fully customizable security. And we'll just spend a few seconds talking about these. So people love Excel, we know that, and with Planning Analytics Workspace, data can be imported directly from Excel by simply dropping the file into the workspace, or any must-have Excel reports can be easily combined with other workspace content in your dashboard. The dashboards in Planning Analytics Workspace give users a flexible, interactive and intuitive interface, similar to the one that we saw in the demo, where you can create and share rich and powerful dashboards and integrate Excel reports. And these bring new and exciting possibilities in terms of visualizing your TM1 data and to help users quickly evaluate performance against their strategic goals of your business. And finally, and quite possibly most importantly, data within Planning Analytics is secure. We have fully customizable security controls that can be used to lock down your data at any level based on your users and specific business requirements. So this means you can allow users to access or update only the data that is relevant to them.